Welcome back, everybody, to Bourbon, Buzzed, and Ballin. This is our podcast. I am your host, Dut, with Colby, and we're here, just two regular guys, although I think we're rather exceptional guys, here to talk all things sports and, of course, one of our favorite topics, bourbon. Today we got a great show for you. Hope you enjoy the NFL. We're here to talk about the AFC in particular. We're going to give you a breakdown of the teams, give you some inside information on each team, our picks on who we think will emerge in each division, and obviously we're going to make some picks at the end on our conference champions. So, and then of course at the end we are going to taste some bourbon. So with that being said,
you know, we like to start our show off. It originally didn't start this way, but it's become a tradition now. This being our fourth episode, we like to start our show off with an opening toast. And we kind of try to keep it current. And this week, couple big news items that happened. First thing, Jacob Trouba, for any of our hockey fans out there, the New York Rangers named him captain this week. He became the 28th captain in their franchise history. And it's actually the first captain they've named since 2018 when they traded Ryan McDonough to the Lightning.
Nice.
So they've been captainless, which I didn't really understand, but been captainless for the last 4 years, and they finally decided Trouba was their guy, and they named him, and it seems like the whole team's behind him.
Excellent.
And I know you've got a special toast you want to speak about.
Yeah, I think given the event of Serena Williams announcing that she will retire, I think it's very fitting that we tip our hats or our glasses to her. You know, Serena, obviously, you know, her resume goes without saying, but 39 Grand Slams total, 39 Grand Slams. That's if you count her doubles matches as well. 4-time Olympic gold medalist. And, you know, obviously, I think the biggest thing for Serena is she's really putting a lot of emphasis on gender and race equality. Mm-hmm. And so I've been a huge fan of Serena since she started. And I definitely don't think this will be the last we see of her. So, you know, with that being said, let's give her thanks.
Yeah, the GOAT.
The GOAT.
Of maybe of female sports.
Yeah,
definitely female tennis. But
definitely the GOAT of female tennis.
Sports. You know, we might have to discuss that in a future episode.
I might miss her in the tennis skirt too a little bit. Just have to throw that in there.
But. Yeah, she was always a fashion icon out there. You never knew what she was going to wear.
Definitely fun to watch. So.
But yeah, to Trouba and Serena, congratulations on your careers and cheers.
Yes,
all right, let's dive right in. Let's come in hot.
Well, why don't we talk about what you're sipping on first?
Okay, we can do that. I'm sipping on Willet. We actually rated it a neat on our very first podcast, and so that's how I'm enjoying it. It's the Pot Still Reserve, and just a good, smooth bourbon.
Yeah, that is a good one. It's absolutely one of my favorites. I'm gonna be sipping tonight on. It's a little pale. This is last week's one of our featured bourbons.
One of the honeys.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the honeys. It was the one I liked most of all. It's the Wild Turkey.
Okay.
American honey. So that's what I'm sipping on.
And actually,
tonight.
It was the one that we preferred of the three.
Yeah.
The other two we didn't take too kindly to.
I'm drinking it neat tonight because I thought if I had put a rock in it, people would think I was drinking water because it's a little pale.
It is awful thick though. You can really see the legs on the side of the glass.
It's nice. I like it. It's perfect for some podcasts. It's perfect for some conversation.
Maybe a little extra sugar just get you hyped up.
It might me talk a little bit more about this guy.
We both broke out the Tua jerseys. You got the college version.
That's right.
I've got the Miami Dolphin version. You know, because we're doing the AFC this week, I thought I'd show Tua a little love.
Yeah, that's true.
But before we get into the previews, let's back up a second and come in hot. You know, one of the toasts from last week's show was Bill Russell. You know, who passed away unfortunately. But this week they came out with the news that league-wide they are retiring number 6.
Yeah, very fitting.
So
very fitting.
Moving forward, Now they did say if you're already wearing number 6, which LeBron wears number 6 in LA,
right.
and I think there's a couple other players that are currently wearing the number. They will grandfather it in so you can still wear your number 6, but everywhere else it's going to be retired. And then when that player is done wearing number 6, it'll be retired for that team also. So he's joining Jackie Robinson.
Oh yeah.
As two players that were so respected and in the forefront of so much stuff. Of course, we talked a lot about it last week. I don't want to spend too much time.
I mean, they were both instrumental in breaking the color barrier.
Exactly. So. Yeah, and you know, they retired number 42 in baseball for Jackie. Now they're retiring number 6 for Bill in basketball. This coming season, all the players will wear a patch commemorating Bill, and then they'll also have a logo on the court by the scorer's table.
Nice.
So great, well-deserved honoring a legend.
Yeah, I mean, the way I view Bill Russell, you know, on the basketball court is he basically changed the way everyone looked at a center.
Yeah.
So, you know, he was definitely a game changer of his era and eras afterwards. So, yeah, clearly very deserving of this honor for sure.
Well, speaking of basketball, let's talk about our boys. Bama Nation. Coach Nate Oates just took the squad over to Spain and to France for a little 3-game exhibition tour.
Oh yeah.
And so they opened up with Barcelona, Spain, in Barcelona, Spain. I'm sorry, against the Spain select team, which wasn't the greatest competition.
No.
They beat them 108-64.
Still, we have a young team.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of
team.
freshmen on this team or transfers, so it's to see them gelling this quick is really good. They were led by Brandon Miller. He had 24 points, and then a pair of other freshmen, Rylan Griffin and Noah Clowney, each had 13. So those three players basically accounted for almost half of the points.
And Coach Oates rotated lineups every night. I mean, the playing time was balanced throughout the lineup, but we've got to spend an extra minute talking about our 5-star.
Oh yeah.
Don't get used to him. Don't get used to him.
You don't blink because he's gonna be gone.
It's a one and done. I'm afraid, but
let me summarize the next 2 games, and then we'll jump into what you were just touching on. So the second game we played the Lithuania men's national team, but their B team. So it wasn't their A squad; it was their B squad.
Their A squad is nice.
Yeah. I think Coach knew we couldn't handle the A squad, so he put us against the B squad. We handled them pretty easily, 120-61. Again,
that's pretty easy.
Mr. Miller led the way with 28, and the Texas Tech transfer, Namari Burnett. I'm getting tongue twisted here.
Burnett.
He was second on the team with 19 points. And then finally, and to me the most impressive one, was they played the Chinese men's national team, and it was the A squad. And it was a lot closer competition. At one point, China was in the lead, but we were able to pull that game out 89.
That was the second half comeback from because we were handling them easy in the first half, right?
Right. Yeah. Coming out of the break, China went on a run and took the lead, but then we were able to recapture that momentum. Again, Mr. Miller led us with 21 points, and Burnett was second with 13. So basically, you're looking at, what's that, 67,
I didn't add up what he averaged too. I'm assuming somewhere around
it's looking
22,
right around 24.
22. Oh, okay.
Because he had 24, 28, and 21, so he's right around 24 points per game.
Oh, okay. I thought he had a teens there.
No.
Okay.
No, he was in the 20s all 3 games.
Yeah, it's don't blink on that kid, man.
And one of the impressive things about beating this China national team is they had 2 7-footers on this team, and they're a top 30 FIBA national team.
Right.
So I mean that's a legit win. And Mr. Miller, Brandon Miller, is a legit lottery NBA.
Yeah, I was worried. I was a little worried with our roster, because we don't get Javon back.
He'll be back.
We don't get him back to about mid-season.
They're hoping at the beginning of SEC play.
Yeah, so we're going to be without Javon, who's clearly our leader. going into the season, we're going to be playing. I mean, I like Dom Welsh too. That we had another transfer kid.
Right.
He showed
And Mark
out.
Sears is another transfer
Sears
who I think he was in double digits for one or two games.
Yeah, and they're all so versatile with the positions that they play. And of course, in Coach Oates' offense,
Yeah, that's what he likes.
you basically have to be able to play all over the floor.
Yeah, he likes those swing guys.
But man, Brandon Miller's going to be probably. I think he's probably legitimately, possibly one of the better players we've had in recent times, especially in college.
I mean, here recently, probably the best you'd have to say was Sexton.
Yeah, Colin.
He
Colin
was a
came to
lottery
my mind
pick
for sure.
And then I think this Brandon Miller's going to be even better than Colin.
Well, we could talk, man, with basketball all
Right,
night.
right.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready to roll.
Well, there was some news. I follow Miami because of Tua, and they had joint practices this week with the Buccaneers, and then not scrimmage, but preseason game with the Buccaneers over the weekend. But really, the talk out of that whole get together was before the scrimmage. Before I keep calling it scrimmage, before the preseason game. Tom Brady
glorified scrimmage.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, it's basically let's see the second and third teamers and see who's going to make the squad.
I don't like the preseason.
Yeah, I mean, college doesn't have it.
Beside the point.
Anyway, getting back to what I was going to say was the what everybody wanted to talk about was Tom Brady leaving the team, and it's going to be gone for 10 to 14 days. And so there was a lot of speculation. Is it health related? Is it something with his family? Blah blah blah. What was your take on Brady leaving?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, my first take was he's got marital problems.
Right.
That was my first take. But, I mean, I don't have any worries about Brady being gone because this isn't his first time. No, this is not his first.
I thought you were going to say it wasn't his first training camp.
Oh, no, not his first. Definitely not. But it's not his first hiatus either in training camp.
Right.
I mean, you have to understand, he doesn't need the reps.
Right.
I mean, he's...
The only thing that you miss is like if the new players you want to build that chemistry.
But he did
with.
come in early, and he worked. He didn't get to work with Julio a lot, but Julio's a consummate pro.
Two pros,
and they're going to be on the same wave. That I wouldn't worry about. And his coaching staff. This was planned out, so that to me kind of rules out. I just think it's a balance of life for him at this point. He loves the game. He wants to be in the game. He is still a tier 1 quarterback.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, he was up there
exactly
stat-wise, but everybody
he's elite.
My take on this is, I'm Tom Brady.
I can do what I want.
I don't want to go through a full training camp.
Yeah,
I've earned that right. Because players used to do the old, I'm holding out. A lot of the veterans.
Yeah.
I'm holding out, just so they didn't have to go through. All of the training camp because the veterans don't need
and
it.
his teammates are in the press saying that this is.
I mean, it's actually probably better for the team because it lets the backups get some reps.
That's right. Trask is getting a lot of reps and looking good.
He put up some good stats.
He did,
in that game against Miami. It was really Trask against the rookie Skylar Thompson.
Well, maybe the Buccaneers are auditioning Trask for a potential trade,
or
giving him some of that time.
They're gonna need.
Maybe they're like Thompson as their backup.
No, I'm talking about Thompson on the Dolphins. But no, I'm saying Trask is auditioning to be the replacement when Tom does decide. Well, let me move on to another career. Well, while we're talking about football, let's dive right into our preview show.
Let's do it.
The NFL, there's so much to talk about. We'll try to keep it brief on each team, each division.
I don't know how brief I can be on some of this stuff.
And that's why we split it into 2 episodes, because we knew if we tried to do the whole NFL in one show.
When did we get started? What was the time we got started? You remember what time we started tonight?
I didn't even pay attention to it.
All right, I'll keep an eye on it because I know we'll probably bleed over.
Right. So let's just dive right in. AFC, let's start with the North. Home of...
Oh, we're going to start with the North?
Yeah, let's start with the North. Home of the defending AFC champs.
All right.
The Cincinnati Bengals. And my big question there with the Bengals is they were the hunters last year.
Oh yeah, they got the bullseye on their back.
This
for
year
sure.
they're going to be the hunted, and like you said, they got the bullseye on their back.
Before we talk about the specific teams,
Okay.
let me ask you a question.
Okay.
I'm calling the AFC North the criminal division. Think about this a minute.
Okay.
Ray Lewis,
Mm-hmm.
he had legal issues early.
And I think his son does now.
Big Ben,
Yep.
Roethlisberger,
Yep.
issues.
Deshaun Watson,
Joe Mixon,
Joe Mixon,
issues.
Deshaun Watson.
Ray Rice.
Oh, we don't even need to talk
Now
about Ray Rice.
Deshaun. What
Yeah.
is up with this division, man? This is the criminal division. But I don't want to get into that because I don't want to start podcast.
Right. We'll get off on a tangent and yeah.
But sure enough, I mean, there's three different champs the last 3 years, and like you said, Cincinnati came out of nowhere. They were the Cinderella story last year. Who steps up this year? So
Well, it's funny you say 3 different champs the last 3 years, and the team that everybody thinks should have been the best team coming out of the last 3 years is the fourth team that hasn't won the division.
no,
But yeah.
can't get out of their way.
So my question with the Bengals is that O-line finally gonna step up and protect Mr. Burrow?
They made some nice pickups. Nice pickups in the offseason.
Right.
What I got? Lael Collins,
From Dallas.
Kappa, and Karras.
Yeah.
They've added three good. I mean, they all graded out really well last year. So I definitely think that the Bengals improved their offensive line, and that was, I mean, what Burrow have like 50-something sacks last year.
Oh.
He was sacked 50 times.
Yeah.
Some of that his problem for holding on to the
Holding
ball,
on to it a little too long.
but a lot of that had to do with just a porous offensive line.
Right.
So I definitely think the Bengals have improved.
And I think they recognized that was the weak link, and like you said, they went out and addressed it in the offseason, so they want to try to stay on top. And I heard today, actually, that Burrow was back at practice. He had the appendix surgery, and they didn't say how much he was actually doing at practice. Probably not a lot. I'm sure there's not going. If anybody touches him, they're probably going to be cut on the spot. But it's good to hear that he's back at practice.
They didn't have a lot of turnover in their offense and skill positions either. So it's not like they got to get on a page together. I mean, their wide receiver core, they're back.
And it's deep.
And it's
loaded.
It's maybe one of the best in the league.
Deep and loaded.
And their running back, Joe Mixon, I mean, he finally was Joe Mixon that everyone expected him to be last year. I think Joe Mixon's back.
Well, on the flip side of that, you got the Ravens, who are always right there competing for the division, but who's going to step up for them at wide receiver?
You're jumping around on me, man.
I'm trying to keep you on your toes.
All right,
You're
doing that. Let me find Baltimore.
You got Mark Andrews. That's a given.
That's a given.
And
I mean, you might as well consider him a wideout.
Yeah.
Numbers wise.
Right, numbers wise, but I mean, he's a matchup problem.
He's a matchup problem.
And he's Lamar's go-to. But Lamar needs Bateman, Duvernay, somebody in that wide receiver room. He lost his top one from last year, Hollywood. He's now with Kyler out there in Arizona.
I'm high on Bateman though. I think Bateman's he's the total package.
Right.
He's a total package. He's big. He's fast. He runs good routes. He's got good hands. I like Bateman to step up. I think the biggest question for me, and I've always been somewhat not sold on Lamar as far as just the total package. I mean, I know he's he's a much better passer than he gets credit for.
Yeah, but he does have accuracy issues.
Yes,
he's in that Cam Newton, big physical. You don't want him getting out in the open field because you're not going to stop him. But when you keep him in the pocket and make him beat you with his arm and not his athleticism.
That's what I'm afraid of with the Ravens, because to me the Ravens are good through Lamar. That's their key, and has the league
caught up
figured
to him.
figured out Lamar.
Well, and one thing that concerns me about Lamar is he's a lame duck contract wise.
Oh yeah.
He's his own agent.
Yeah.
And he said this weekend, once the season starts, we're no more conversation about contract.
It's over.
So, and it doesn't sound like they've made gained any ground on getting a deal done. So the Ravens are kind of in the driver's seat or in the position of strength because they know they've got the franchise tag in their back pocket. So now we don't have to give you everything you want. You get hurt this year, you're screwed. You don't get hurt, we just slap the franchise tag on you next year. And so
I think
it's unfair, and Lamar's in a disadvantageous, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't even know if that's a word.
He's in a disadvantaged spot,
right?
Is what you're saying.
Right.
He's not in the driver's seat on his money,
right?
And that's, I don't want to say his mom. I know his mom is a big part of his decision making. Yep. But on the football side, you got J.K. coming back in their backfield. He's back at practice. He's not 100%. It usually takes the second year for a running back injury like that.
Yeah.
Same with Gus Edwards.
Yep.
They do have Mike Davis, but Mike Davis has sort of been
he's a journeyman. I mean,
he's an average dude. He's not gonna. The defensive coordinators are not really going to have to defend him throughout the week.
Right.
They're not going to do so much planning.
The Falcons tried to make him the featured back, and he's a good complimentary back. He's a good 1 or 2 weeks, give you a great game, but he's not a season long featured back.
Yeah, and back on the receivers, I like Bateman, but after that, it's a bunch of guys that you're just not familiar with that are going to have to step up. And Lamar does so much off schedule.
Yeah.
I'm just never I'm not a huge Mahomes fan because his success is off schedule.
Right.
It's like you draw it up in the sand. And so I'm not a huge fan of that style, which is my problem, but still yet. As far as the Ravens go, their secondary struggled last year, but it was largely due to the pass rush. And the pass rush has gotten a little bit better. But for me, I'm a little down on the Ravens just because they're
and I've been,
their weapons.
They drafted the safety out of Notre Dame real high.
Yeah.
Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah, Kyle Hamilton.
And I've been hearing a mixed bag out of camp with him.
Yeah.
Some days he's all over the place, and other days he's lost.
Yeah, I think Kyle Hamilton to me reminds me a lot of the kid that was drafted out of Clemson for Arizona.
Oh, Isaiah Simmons.
Yes. Thank you. Those kind of guys,
those gadget guys.
Yeah, they're gadgets. You gotta move them around. That in today's defense, they're positionless players.
Right.
And when you try to stick Hamilton into a position, I think he can get lost, especially at
Well, that's what Miami tried with Minka. Remember when they drafted Minka, and then they traded him to Pittsburgh, and he's a stud. He's all pro. So. Speaking of Pittsburgh, we'll just stay there and talk about them. One thing in this whole division, the division is hinging on quarterbacks. We just talked about Lamar and, what's he going to be able to do. We talked about Joe Burrow's importance to the Bengals. Well, the biggest question hanging over the Pittsburgh Steelers is who's going to replace Big Ben?
Big question. Here's my big thing about the AFC North. I think you have a clear separation to me of teams, but the AFC in general is strong.
Oh yeah,
and so there's a division's gonna have to come up with the losses,
right?
Because there's a clear division that's head and tails above the rest, and so there's other teams that are good in others, but so that I kind of have for me I don't see the Steelers.
Well, and
doing well this year.
Tomlin has never had a losing season.
I know. Tomlin's a great coach.
This might be his first. It's coming down to Trubisky, Rudolph, and Pickett.
And
Which,
I mean, and to be honest, all the reports, all the quarterbacks are not looking good out of camp. But then you get the game the other night, and Pickett actually looked pretty decent.
Right. I still think Trubisky it'll be his job coming out of camp. Now, how long he can keep it, that's another question.
This is my prediction on the Steelers. Trubisky starts. Mm-hmm. He loses his job mid-season. Pickett gets handed the keys. Pickett struggles
the rest of the year,
a rookie.
But he's
Mason Rudolph comes in to clean up at the end.
See, I don't know that
just
I would
because he's been there forever.
Yeah, but I wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't either.
If you go to Pickett, you got to stick with him and just let him take his lumps.
But maybe at the end of the season they're battling for that wild card slot. And
if there's something still to play for, then you got to do what's best for the team. But I think the psyche of a rookie quarterback is so fragile, and if you're yo-yoing them back and forth like
Tua.
Yeah, Tua. And I was trying to think of the coach's name with Tua.
Brian Flores.
Flores, that's it. I've tried to block out that name because I'm not a fan of his, but because he was, and if Tua wasn't as mentally strong as he is, which I know we're jumping around.
Let's hold off on Tua.
Let's get back into the North. I don't want to get on that soapbox. So the last team in the North. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about the Steelers?
I mean,
I think they're the cellar dweller this year.
Yeah, I mean they have to be. I mean, the problem with the Steelers to me, I mean, it's basically T.J. Watt and Minka on defense.
Now I give you mentioned him when we did our fantasy football preview show, but Pickens. He's going to be a good one.
He looks to be a good one. I mean, he does look good, but he's still going to have
somebody to get him the ball.
I mean, I think the Steelers have some blocks, and of course, the Steelers have one of the better coaches. So, but like you said, somebody has to lose, and I just don't see that the Steelers. I don't see that the Steelers are going to be able to compete at all.
The biggest question mark in that division is how many games is Deshaun going to get to play? And I really thought by the time we taped this podcast, this week's show, we would know what the result of the appeal was. But they still have not given out the result of the appeal. It's still 6 games, but it's still under appeal by the NFL. So,
I mean,
there's still no.
The Browns are hard to gauge, because their roster's talented.
Oh, loaded.
Their roster's talented, and with Deshaun, I still have the Browns as a 8 to 10 win team. I mean, I just still feel like the Bengals and the Ravens.
Bengals, Ravens, Browns,
Steelers. Yeah, that's how I have it ranked.
That's the way I see it.
I mean, I think a lot changes for me if Deshaun is only 6 games. I mean, I think.
And I haven't looked at their early schedule. Whether is beef brisket, as you would call him, or Jacoby Brissett,
beef brisket.
Yeah. No, I don't know if he can keep them in any of the games until Deshaun gets there. I'm hearing the Jimmy G rumors again.
Yeah, I heard that. Their defense is great. I mean, their defensive line added Jadeveon Clowney and Chase Winovich.
Yep.
And Chase Winovich is one of those guys that's he's like one of those players that you just plug in certain times of the game, and he comes up with big plays.
He'll come in with that high energy.
Yeah, high energy. And, he's definitely not he's not a 3 or 4 down.
Yeah, that was an interesting trade with the Steelers. I mean the Browns and the Patriots. Sending Mack Wilson over there, and he looked good in the.
He did look good
in their opening preseason game.
So, do you have any? I mean, like I come up with some predictions. I mean, I just don't see. I don't see anybody. To me, I think the Bengals win the division.
The only thing that keeps the Bengals would be if something were to happen to Joe.
Oh yeah, well, without that withstanding for sure, any injury clearly changes things. But to me, I think too many questions with Lamar. His last 3 years he's declined, and I just feel like they've figured him out. Keep him in the pocket. He's got a great arm. He's just not accurate.
Right.
So I like the Bengals.
Yep. Yeah. Same.
All right.
Same. Let's go down south.
All right.
Let's go down south.
Okie doke. Who you want to start with? You want to start?
I'll start with who I think is definitely to me, this is the weakest division in the AFC.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's one team to me that's head and shoulders above the rest. There's a second team that is on the playoff bubble.
And that's not the Texans.
Nope. Now the Texans and the Jags, they're still a few years away. To me, the Colts are the class of this division.
Easy. Yeah. I'm with you.
Matt Ryan, I think, has still got a few good years left in him, and he's behind possibly the best offensive line in the league. He's got an excellent running game to lean on, and he's got some good wideouts to throw to that kind of resembles the wideouts he had in Atlanta in his heyday. Great run game, solid defense. All Matty Ice has to do is make the plays when they need him to make the plays.
He's proven. He's proven he can distribute that ball, and he's my kind of guy.
So I like the Colts a lot in this division.
I do too. I like the Colts. I like the Colts head and shoulders above the rest. Unfortunately, I think the Titans. Titans actually had maybe the worst off season.
Yeah, and I think they peaked already.
I don't know. I dove into some numbers on the Titans in terms of quarterbacking, and I think Tannehill reminds me, doesn't remind me of Cousins, but he's a notch below. He's a notch below, but he doesn't get enough praise for as good as he has been.
Right, and that's what
rating wise.
That's what I've got wrote down right there. Is Tannehill good enough?
I think he is good enough, but I just feel like the Titans didn't do enough in the off season.
Yeah, you got D. Henry, who when he's healthy, he's the best running back in the league, but
but his foot injury
injury, that's a tough one for a running back.
That foot injury wasn't considered career threatening.
No, but it's still.
And have you seen his workout videos?
No, I haven't seen any this year. I've usually see him in all the other.
Check out Derrick Henry YouTube workout videos. You'll believe it. King Henry's back. He's fine.
Yeah,
I think he's fine, but I think the offensive line is going to struggle.
They lost their best receiver.
Yeah, and I think Derrick Henry's going to get hit a little early.
Yeah.
In the play than he's used to.
Well, it's hard for a one-dimensional team, or a one-player team. Like we were talking about Baltimore. You stop Lamar, you win.
Right.
Tennessee, you stop D. Henry, you win. You don't have that A.J. Brown threat anymore. Yeah, they added Robert Woods and Burke.
I like the Treylon Burke. I like that pickup. I mean, I think he's a big-bodied kid.
Yeah,
and
but it's still a step down from A.J.
But we said this in one of our first podcasts that rookie wideouts are coming into the league and transitioning very smoothly. So it could be a much smoother transition for the Titans, but I still feel like the Titans have taken a step back, and I think the Colts are immensely more talented.
Yeah, you had them neck and neck, or maybe the Titans slightly ahead, but I think now it's the Colts took that step forward. And the Titans took a step back.
And I think Mike Vrabel is probably worth 2 or 3 wins on his own. To me, he's that good a coach. I think the players will play for him.
Right.
He doesn't struggle with motivating his guys, and his guys respond to Vrabel because he's been there, done that. And I think he has that connection, which is the complete opposite of the Jaguars and their coach last year. That they were smart enough, and I want to take credit for being on that ahead of time saying that was a horrible hire.
You're gonna bash anything Ohio State.
Well, I'm gonna bash anything Urban Meyer, and that's
Yeah.
that's going off of facts and being objective.
Yeah.
Now the fact that he was a Buckeye coach was a strike against him in my book, but still, there was so
many red flags everywhere he's been.
so many red flags. And anyway, so I like Doug Peterson. I think that hire is good.
Yeah.
I mean, I think like Vrabel, I think Doug Peterson is worth a couple of victories.
Right, and that's what I said. Or had in my notes is much better coaching staff than with Urban Meyer. But they're still a few years away. I mean,
definitely.
They were so
but they're
bad
adding pieces.
That
they're adding pieces.
And does Trevor Lawrence take that year 2 step? Because
right.
I got to tell you, for as hyped as he was coming out of high school, coming out of college, he did not look like he should have been the number 1 overall draft pick last year.
Yeah, but he had some moments. I'm gonna give. I was saying the same thing, but I'm going to give Trevor Lawrence a hall pass on last year just because of the Urban Meyer mistake hire.
Yeah,
That
that
was a rhyme. Did you hear that? Urban Meyer mistake hire. That ought to be a T-shirt for Jacksonville. But I'm going to give him a break on that because I still think he's ultra talented, and I think Peterson is good with quarterbacks.
Right. ATN's back and healthy.
ATN is back.
So they'll have a two-headed. Of course, I think Robinson's a little banged up right now.
He is, and he's off of an Achilles.
Yeah.
But he was. It's not like he was explosive anyway.
Right now, no, he's more of a plotter.
He's more of between the tackles, bowling over guy. So, but I mean, I'm a little less happy, I guess, for the Jags and what they did with Christian Kirk. I think they overpaid there.
Absolutely.
And I think he'll be good. I think Marvin Jones will be good. He's a little older. Zay Jones is going to be good. But unfortunately, nobody there is great.
Right.
And I think, the Jags will be drafting early.
I was going to say, the good news is they're going to have another high draft pick next year.
Yeah.
Where maybe they can get, Jordan Addison or a top wideout that can be a difference maker for them next year.
Their O-line is not good either, and that's not good for Trevor.
No.
I do like ATN. I think he's going to emerge as a.
I could see a lot of dumping off.
Yeah. I mean,
rather than getting creamed, let me just dump it off to the running back.
Checked down more last year than any other quarterback. So.
Yeah.
And I mean, a lot of that had to do with time in the pocket. So like I said, I'm giving him a hall pass.
Right.
I mean, I think defensively, I'm going to be interested in Trayvon Walker. I mean, right now he looks freakish. Mm-hmm. He looks like he's going to be good. I was kind of thinking bust was on him, but I don't know.
He's being put into more a position where he can thrive more than what he was at Georgia.
True. Yeah. True. He was a positionless player at Georgia, which was odd to me, but it obviously it didn't hurt him.
Right.
He did well. So, and I think he's going to be a good pro. I mean, right now watching his first little bit of action, I mean, he definitely looks like he's going to be a man among other littler men.
Right.
Not boys, but littler men.
The last team in that division, who's also probably looking at a high draft pick next draft season.
Oh, yeah.
Is the Texans.
Yeah.
And, the question there is Mills a legit franchise quarterback, or are they going to be, positioned to take one of the top guys that are coming? Next year's quarterback class is supposed to be loaded coming out of college. So are they going to be looking for their franchise quarterback next year, or is Mills going to seize that job?
It's going to depend on Davis Mills. I think he's playing for his job, to be honest with you.
Oh,
I mean, I think
he
was a third-round draft pick, right? I think he was a third-round draft pick, so there's not a lot of cap money invested.
Right.
So
might have even been later than that.
I think it was a third.
I can't remember.
I don't know if I even have that in my notes, but
Yeah.
I do know that he was obviously inconsistent, but he was a rookie.
Well, coming out of high school, he came out the same year Tua came out, and he was the number 2 rated quarterback that year, and went to Stanford.
Well, I mean, he showed flashes.
He's got talent. He's got the size. He's got the arm, and they seemed to really like him because when they were talking, the whole time they were talking with Cleveland about trading Deshaun, they never once wanted to get Baker back in return because they like this Mills kid.
Yeah, I still think with the class coming out,
Oh yeah,
every team in the top
if
five.
you got a questionable quarterback this year, if they,
Yeah.
the Giants with Daniel Jones,
they're all going to be
Washington
tempted.
with Carson Wentz, I mean Texans with Mills. If you got a questionable quarterback and he doesn't show out this year, and you're in position to get one of these C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young next year,
Yeah,
watch out.
Miami quarterback. Yeah,
It's coming.
It's a healthy class.
Yeah, it is.
I really think the Texans are building. And they haven't started to benefit yet from the Watson trade.
Right.
And so that'll be this coming season where they'll benefit. And they added Stingley, and I think that's good. I mean, and if you buy into preseason hype, Stingley's already a Hall of Famer.
And I mentioned last week as my fantasy sleeper, Pierce.
Yeah.
And he looked good in their preseason opener.
He did look good, yeah.
I agree with you. I think
they've added a lot of pieces.
Yeah, I think the Jaguars and the Texans are building, and they're doing it the right way. They're not just throwing money at vets and saying, "Oh, hey, they're being realistic. They know we can't compete this year.
Yeah.
Probably can't compete next year, but 2-3 years from now."
Yeah, their key is adding quality players that develop and picking up quality players in the draft to develop. Right. They're doing it, like you said, they're doing it the right way. Yep. And I actually think the Jags and the Texans are playoff teams in 2 years, based on where they're at now.
Now you saying 2 more seasons, then playoffs, or this season, but next season?
No, this season and next season and then the following season. As long as they continue on the same
path.
I like their coaches. I like Lovie Smith. I don't think he's an elite coach.
Right.
But maybe it's because of the situations he's coached in. Who knows? But I like Lovie Smith as a coach.
He had some good years in Chicago.
Yeah, but there's no team in this division.
No, this is a top-heavy division. Like I said, I think the Colts are actually going to be the number 1 seed in the AFC because of this division. Because I see this as the weakest division, and I think the Colts can be the number 1 seed come playoff time.
Okay. All right. I can live with that. I mean, I still think.
No, I didn't say that's who I'm picking to win the conference, but
I can live with that.
I see them as the number 1 seed.
Okay.
All right, you want to head to the East?
Let's do it.
Okay. And here again, I think you've got one team that's head and shoulders above the rest. And that's the Buffalo Bills. They were right there with Kansas City last year, lost to them in overtime, heartbreaker, because they didn't even get to possess the ball. And, they've changed the rules now because of that game.
Yeah.
So they were loaded last year, and and if they win that game, they might go on and beat the Bengals, and they might be in the Super Bowl.
Right. 13 seconds.
Yeah.
13 seconds.
The Bills, to me, they're loaded, and they got even more loaded by bringing in Von Miller.
Sure. And
Von Miller's Mr. Super Bowl. Every team he goes to, he takes them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was their deficiency last year, if you can call the 13th ranked pass rush or against the run, excuse me. And I know he's a pass rush guy, but he clearly upgrades their line. It's gonna, to me, as long as Tre'Davious White comes back healthy in the secondary. He was out with an injury. Tre'Davious White is a huge impact player for them. They did draft Kyer Elam in their secondary, and he's been looking good in camp too. So I don't think there's really much to talk about offensively.
No, they're probably their biggest question mark is who's going to run the ball for them.
Yeah, and I do. I know we talked
I know you
about
like
it.
Cook.
We talked about it in our fantasy podcast. I do like Cook. I like his versatility from an NFL standpoint.
Right.
I think he's better than his fantasy value, but I think he gives, and you know, Josh Allen's not a huge check down guy.
Nah, he wants
You
he
know,
wants to hit digs deep.
And I'm thinking the Bills are going to cut down a little bit this year on Josh Allen's, you know, his load. Yeah, on his load, but it's not going to really matter.
Well, and I've heard this past week I heard that they're flirting with Odell.
Oh wow! Okay.
You know, because Von and Odell won the Super Bowl together last year with the Rams.
Yeah.
And so Von,
I knew Odell was still out there.
yeah, Odell got hurt in the Super Bowl, so
right.
he, you know, nobody's rushing out to sign him. They're going to wait until later in the season when he's healthy and can contribute. But
you know what I like
Von
about
is
Josh
recruiting him.
Allen so much? He picked a fight with his own nose guard in camp. I like that.
Hey, go after the biggest, baddest, craziest guy on the team. And
he ain't so little himself, but
you're gonna win. You're gonna win your teammates over doing that.
There's so much to like, but I mean, I think this is potentially the Bills' year. I really do, and I like OJ Howard. I think OJ has a chance to maybe give his career that lift that he needs.
And there again, his problem has always been staying healthy.
Yeah,
staying healthy. And speaking of staying healthy, I've got the next team in this division that I think can make some noise is the Miami Dolphins.
Yep.
And, you know, our boy Tua, you know, if he takes that next step with all the skill players,
there's zero excuses.
They've got a track team.
It's a zero excuse year for me because of the coach too.
I think the coach is going to put them into plays that they can succeed.
Right.
You're gonna get Waddle and Tyreek, the cheetah and the penguin. Just get them the ball and let them do the rest.
Right.
And that's what Tua is. His strength is quick release and accuracy, and he will hit those two in stride where they don't have to slow down for the ball. He will put it in a spot where they can hit it full speed. And that's why they can get that yak.
You know where I disagree with how Tua's been used mostly. You know, I like McDaniel coming over from the Kyle Shanahan tree. I think he's going to bring a whole different look to the offense. But to me, and we talked about this at Alabama. I don't view Tua as a dual threat guy.
No.
But he's been considered a dual threat guy.
He gets hurt when he becomes a dual threat.
Exactly. Second most RPO plays last year he was called.
Right. But how many times did he actually run?
A lot
His
more
RPO,
than passing than you think.
But when he's doing an RPO, it's more the run to the running back option or the pass.
Right. But I don't like the play call. I don't like the play call because I think Tua and their offensive line is better this year. They're still not there.
There's still some question marks.
But they're better. So the question is, are they going to be able to give him a pocket, let him drop, let him climb the pocket, and let him pick apart a defense? Because there's one thing I do know about Tua is he makes his mistakes when he goes off schedule.
When he tries to extend the play.
Yeah, and then
he either makes a mistake or that's when he gets hurt.
Exactly. So I don't like the RPOs for Tua.
No. He needs a good, clean pocket where he can have. Last
Exactly.
year he only had like 2 seconds in the pocket, and then he had to get rid of it.
2.5.
If they can give him 3 seconds,
he was top 10 quarterback in the league with a clean pocket.
And he can crack that top 10 if they will give him the time to do it.
To me, he's the ultimate pocket passer. I don't want to make any claims that he's a Tom Brady or whatever, but if you give Tua a 7-step playbook, 5-step playbook, 3-step playbook, let him pre-snap read at the line, post-snap read. He's a smart quarterback, and there is zero question to me he's the most accurate quarterback in the NFL.
Tyreek caught a lot of hell when he said Tua was the most accurate quarterback in the league.
It's a fact.
But and me and you have had that discussion back in the Bama days when we were comparing Mac Jones to Tua. And like I said, Mac had a higher completion percentage, but his receivers had to adjust
to
the ball more.
Yeah.
When Tua was throwing to Henry Ruggs, who 4.2 guy,
Right.
Jalen Waddle, and he was hitting those
They
kids
never
right
broke
in
stride.
stride. They were at full speed when they caught the ball and kept going full speed. So to me, that is laser pinpoint accuracy.
And to your point, Bryce Young's accurate.
Yes.
But he's not as accurate as Tua.
No.
J-Mo, we lost J-Mo in the national championship game
Because
because
of
the
bad
ball
throw.
was
A little
off
behind
his
him.
back shoulder.
Yep.
Tua hits the guys in stride.
Oh, and
Tua's a pocket passer. Keep
Yeah.
him in the pocket. Keep him clean. If he reads the defense pre-snap and it tells him to throw a 5-yard out or
Right.
a slant to Jalen,
Yeah.
then he's going to do that. Tua is that quarterback. So that's
if that offensive line, they don't even have to be great. If that offensive line can be average,
they have to be average. Yeah, exactly.
they've got an excellent defense.
Oh yeah,
Miami's got it. Their corners and safeties.
They're
Xavier
building.
Howard.
They're
and-
building their team correctly
absolutely
too. They lost
So
the
if
first
that-
round draft pick, which
If
hurts.
if that offensive line can be average, they're going to be an exciting team to watch.
That's my notes. I said I love the roster. Keep Tua clean. Open up the offense.
Yep.
Don't handcuff him. And they can be a dangerous team to the Bills.
Yep.
I believe they can be dangerous. I don't mean
Right.
beat them.
Yeah,
I mean I think they can steal a game from the Bills.
Yeah.
But I still see that their schedule is tough, man.
yeah,
They
they
have a tough
got
schedule.
and the opening, like the first 4 games.
Yeah,
is
it's brutal. And again, we're gonna get to it in a minute. Some teams just have to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, only 7 teams can make the playoffs.
That's it. All
The
right.
Patriots, they're a perennial playoff team, but I think they miss it this year.
I do too. I mean, but are the offseason moves classic Belichick?
It is classic Belichick,
Classic
but
Belichick.
I think he's almost getting to the point where he's outthinking himself. He's trying to make such a point of how great he is that he's missing what he really needs to do to be great.
I think it's maybe time to discuss: is he really the GOAT of NFL coaches? I mean, honestly, without Brady, I mean, he's got to win something without Brady.
Yeah.
Brady won without Belichick.
Right.
So, but I'm worried. I'm worried about, losing McDaniels. Mm-hmm. He was in Mac's ear.
And that's part of what I'm saying about Brady. I mean, not Brady, sorry. Belichick almost trying to outthink him because he doesn't even have a true offensive coordinator.
I think he's going to be like youth football, and he's going to call it both
I mean,
plays
he's
for
brought in-
offense and defense.
He's got 2 failed head coaches who failed miserably, who never were offensive coordinators.
No, it's
I
like
mean, Joe Judge was a special teams coach.
well,
and-
Dable. Isn't Dable on their
No,
staff?
Dable's now the Giants coach.
Oh, you would know that, wouldn't you?
No, it's Patricia.
Patricia
From
that's
Detroit.
it, man. Yeah, from Detroit, and he.
I want to say he
Yeah.
was the D coordinator when
Yeah.
he was last time he was at New.
Yeah,
So I mean, he's got those 2 guys handling the offense.
The problem with guessing against Belichick is this is just his style.
I know it.
It's his style, and it's hard to second guess it. The offensive line is always a strength. They're always good. The running backs, it doesn't matter who their running backs are, but they have 2 really good ones. And, if Devontae Parker can really step up and be Devontae Parker that he's been told he was,
Right.
then Mac Jones has got a number 1.
Well, Bill's going to outwork all the other coaches, and that's
I don't think he sleeps.
what makes him what he is. But like I said, it's almost like Lamar. Has the rest of the league caught up to him, and now he's needs to quit being cute and get back to business.
Yeah, I think their secondary is their Achilles this year. I think they got a really good young front 7. They got some good pass rushers, Matthew Judon.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they have Barmore, who had a great year last year.
Yep.
Is he going to make that next jump this year?
I think he will. I think he's.
Yeah, I think so too. And
He reminds me a
Josh
lot of.
Uche.
He reminds me a lot of Quentin Williams.
Yeah, he does me too. So I like this team. I think they have the potential just because of Belichick, and I like Mac Jones. I like Mac. Well, we didn't talk
Right.
about Mac.
No, and
we don't want to.
And Mac he's done a lot. He's beefed up a little bit. He put in some work in the off season. He did a lot more studying. Max, he's a between the ears quarterback.
Well, he's
not the most physically gifted out there.
No, but he can run enough. He can move. He moves his body enough
Right.
to avoid sacks that he's not seeing with his own eyes.
But now
and that's innate.
Now he loses his offensive coordinator from last year. How's that going to affect him?
He does. I mean, I think given the fact that it's the AFC.
Well, the thing I see about the Patriots is every other team in that division got better in the offseason, and they didn't. So I think it's going to be between them and the Jets for the cellar of that division. And the Jets just took a hit this week with Zach Wilson tearing up his meniscus. He's having surgery Tuesday.
Right.
And they're saying 2 to 4 weeks, but they really won't know until they get in there and see. They're saying bone bruise.
The bone bruise is going to be the bigger issue
from the bone bruise
is going to be the bigger issue from the meniscus.
But I've known people that have had that meniscus surgery, and that knee was never the same.
True. I mean, I still think the Jets, even with Zach Wilson, unless he made a huge jump in last year, I mean, I could rattle off some stats on him.
I'm not sold on him yet.
No, I don't think anybody really is sold. I mean, he's athletic. He
Yeah.
definitely proved that on the injury play.
He's not very big though.
No, he's not big. He's not big at all.
And he really doesn't have the track record.
No.
Yeah, he wowed.
He held the ball almost 8 seconds last year.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy.
Yeah, and
that to me tells me that he doesn't even see the field.
Doesn't see the field.
He I don't know what he's looking at pre-snap. I mean, I just don't know.
Well, and another huge injury they suffered was Mikael Becton, the offensive lineman.
Yeah, that was their
out
anchor
for the year again.
Yeah, they're in the cellar. They made some, just if we have some Jet fans out there, I'm real high on their draft.
Real good running backs.
Yeah, I'm higher on their draft and their backfield, their receivers. Defensively, they were woeful, but they got Quinnen Williams. Hopefully, he had a rough year last year. Hopefully, he returns to form. Carl Lawson is back.
Mm-hmm.
They got an old C.J. Mosley, middle linebacker, but if we talk about some of my favorite players ever, he's always up there.
Well,
C.J.,
on my list. He's lost some time due to injury, but I think he wants to reestablish himself to his glory days with the Ravens when he was All-Pro every year.
Right.
So if C.J. can get back to the C.J. of old, they've got somebody to lead that defense.
Exactly. Let's talk about Sauce Gardner real quick.
Oh yeah,
that's a good pickup. That's a good pickup.
I'm a fan. I'm a fan.
He's a huge frame. He's perfect to lock down. He's maybe another Revis.
And he's got one of the best nicknames in all of football.
Yeah, he's good.
But no,
I like what the Jets have done. I think their only move for the Jets is up, and I really think the Jets are.
They probably of all the teams had the best draft this past year.
Yeah.
I liked what the Giants, both the New York teams, because I liked what the Giants did, and we'll talk about that next week. But
no, the Bills certainly.
The Bills are the class of that division. I think the Dolphins are knocking on the door. I don't think they quite can come through that door yet, but I think they're going to surprise some folks. I think Tua is going to silence the critics this year.
I do too. I agree with that.
And
we might be a little bit of a homer on that one, but I looked at PFF a lot. I looked at a lot of the analytics on Tua, and man, and just knowing Tua and knowing what that prior coaching staff did to him.
Yeah.
I'm in his corner, man. I'm in his corner. I'm repping his jersey tonight.
Right.
That's specifically repping his jersey.
He was set up to fail by that past coaching staff.
Sure, absolutely,
and, that he came out of it with his head still high. I mean, it just goes to show what the character of this young man.
And that's why I'm behind him, really, just because of his character.
And his teammates love him, and I really expect.
We'll have a whole podcast on Tua during the season.
I expect great things from him this year. All right, let's go to what I consider the best division, top to bottom.
I consider it's the best in the NFL.
Best in the NFL, top to bottom. You got 4 teams that legit could be playoff teams.
All right, you say your team name that you think's the best in the division, and I'm going to say my team name that's the best in the division at the same time.
I'm still going Chiefs.
I said same time.
Okay.
Never mind. Now you done blew it.
Well, I thought I was setting it up for you to. You probably going Chargers.
No, it's definitely not going to be. No, I'm not.
You're not going Chargers?
I haven't decided really, honestly.
Okay.
I'm still up in the air.
You know, the Chiefs. We'll start there since that's the one I blurted out.
Okay.
You know, to me, the big question there is how bad are they going to miss Tyreek? And
yeah, I'm gonna be interested to see how Mahomes, because Mahomes had statistically his worst season last year, but he still threw for 4,800 yards and 37 touchdowns. So that's like better than 95% of the league.
right,
So I think we're judging Mahomes by a
higher standard. Yeah.
But to me, I said it earlier, he's better when he's off schedule, and Tyreek Hill is the perfect off schedule receiver.
That's where Tyreek
NFL.
got a lot of his yards and catches
living.
was when the pocket would break down, Mahomes would scramble.
And I don't think McCole Hardman is a direct plug and play.
No,
there's no direct plug and play.
I think it's going to be.
Tyreek.
I think it's going to have to be a combination of Sky and Hardman. But you know, I'm not sold on their running backs.
No, I don't even think Andy Reid's sold on their running back.
Yeah. I mean, they're talking about Pacheco maybe, you know, getting the playing time over Allaire.
He's good. You know, I think Allaire's good, but Allaire's little, you know, and he you know, the NFL is just, it's brutal. I don't know that he can take that beating.
Right. And they lost some players off their defense. So I don't think the Chiefs did anything to get better this.
No, I mean, Frank Clark is their core of their D line, and he's slipping. You know,
he's a year older.
He's a year older. He has to improve. I like the Karlaftis draft pick. I think he's got the potential to lock down one side, but he's more of a run end than a rush end. But losing Tyrone Matthew.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's big. He was the leader of that defense.
Yeah, they picked up Justin Reed, and that might be a wash in terms of play, but
not the
in the locker
intangible.
room.
Yeah, that's what I mean. The intangible.
Yeah, that's where I was giving you props on that comment.
Well, you set it up.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Because the Badger, man, the Badgers, there's something about him that's just different.
He brings the best out of everybody around him.
So I don't know. I think. It's hard to pick against the Chiefs.
Like I said,
they're going to be.
Until they get knocked off.
I still think they're a 10-win team.
Oh yeah,
I do. I still think they're a 10-win team, but
I think the Chargers are right there. But they seem to lay an egg.
They do. But
you know, last year all they had to do was tie the Raiders, and they lost that game, so they don't make the playoffs.
I know. And their coach, is he gonna improve? I mean, I'm almost positive the owner has told him to dial it back a little bit on going for it, you know. And I think if he can correct that, I mean, he's going to have to get out of those analytics because he's living off of those analytics so much.
Right.
But I think he does temper that down, and they have arguably top 3 talented quarterback in the league who's only getting better every year.
But I think for them this season, it's playoff or bust. You know.
Well, I think the AFC West is like that in general, really.
Yeah.
Chargers, they're built for Super Bowl. Chiefs, they've been there.
Right.
They're built for Super Bowl. Denver, with their additions, they're built for Super Bowl.
Right. And then you
have the Raiders
bringing
who's not
in Devontae
bad.
Adams and
who's going to lose in this division? It's got to be the Raiders.
It's going to be a tough division.
It has to be the Raiders. I mean, the Chargers are elite. They brought in Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson in their secondary.
The Khalil Mack move, you know, I mentioned earlier the Von Miller to the Bills. The Khalil Mack move to the Chargers. So if the Von Miller was 1A, that was 1B.
Statistically, he's the best overall defensive end against the rush and pass.
Yeah, being able to play them both.
Play them both,
right.
yeah. I mean, I think he shores up their weakness, man, and their secondary was good last year. I mean, I see the Chargers.
It won't surprise me if the Chargers take that division. Like I said, I'm still going to go with the Chiefs till they get knocked off. You know, experience says a lot. It's kind of like the Patriots in the East.
Right.
You know, they knew how to win that division every year.
Yeah.
So until somebody else knows that they have the confidence to knock off the Chiefs, you know, sometimes it's just a mental block. I think the Dolphins have that with the Bills.
True.
So I think, you know, if they can ever get over that hump,
yeah, they definitely have.
They
to
can be dangerous.
They have to get over the hump. What do you think about Denver?
You know, the question there, of course, they lost Patrick, which was a big loss to their receiving core. But they still have Sutland and Jerry Jeudy. And they got the tight end that I pronounced his name last week, and I'm not even going to attempt it this week.
Yeah, I'm going to call him the emerging tight end, man.
Call him O.
Big O, yeah, Big O.
So they've got the weapons. I saw Gordon's banged up again a little bit.
He's always banged up. I ain't worried about Melvin.
Denver's always had a solid defense.
But they lost Vic Fangio, though. That's
true.
That's a big loss.
That's
a big loss. Their coordinator. If they can be seamless without him, but they brought in Randy Gregory, and I think Randy Gregory gives them maybe a fill-in for Von Miller.
Right. So to me,
and then they have maybe the best secondary.
Yep.
I mean, they got a lockdown corner on one side. And they brought in Ronald Darby this year, so that's another good corner on the other side of Surtain.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're going to be
now.
good.
The question for me is Russ the missing piece?
I think he is, man. I have Chargers, Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders.
Wow. You could throw them in a hat and pick one out, and I mean, it could be the right pick.
I mean, the Raiders, the thing about the Raiders to me is Josh McDaniel has to prove himself as a head coach because he's been brutal.
And that's why I've got them probably in the cellar, even though it might even be a winning record.
Oh, it's good. I think it's going to be a winner. I don't think
right around 9-8, 8-9.
I got them 9-8 or 10-7.
Yeah, 10. I don't know if they can get to
10. 10 is going to be iffy because of the division.
The division, right?
Sure, I agree.
They got to handle their business outside of the division,
they
can.
I think they will. I mean, Max Crosby and Chandler Jones.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, their secondary got some holes. I mean, we can talk about their offense if you want. I mean, I think their offense is great. Their O-line is like average.
Right. I'm ready to see, the Carr Devontae.
Me too.
Reuniting, after college.
Yeah. The question is does Devontae make that big of a difference? Does he make that big of a difference for them? I mean, I think Devontae Adams is a he's a faceless quarterback. It doesn't matter which quarterback.
Right.
You plug and play any quarterback.
He's going to be open. All you got to do is throw it his way.
And he's going to catch.
It's kind of like Michael Thomas with the Saints.
He's open.
Always open.
I agree. I mean, that's clearly the best. That's clearly the best division.
It is.
Something
Absolutely.
has to give.
Absolutely.
All right.
So I had 3 teams that I called my playoff locks, and now you're making me second guess one of them.
Good, I'm glad.
You're making me second guess the Chiefs. But like I said, they've been right there every year. So until somebody knocks them off, I'm gonna
go with that stance. I got to show you.
I got the Colts. Yeah, the Missouri. I'm from the Show Me State. So I got the Colts, the Chiefs, and the Bills as playoff locks.
All right. I got the Bills. I got Cincinnati. I got Indianapolis, and I got the Chargers as my playoff
your locks.
My wild card, Denver, KC, and the Vegas.
So you're saying maybe all 4 of those teams can make the playoffs?
That whole division's gonna make the playoffs this year.
Okay.
Now tell me if that comes to fruition.
Right.
That's I'm not gonna call that a lock.
Right.
And I got the Dolphins. I got them on the bubble.
Yeah. My bubble teams were the Bengals because, like I said, that division is tough to figure out. The Bengals. So I had the Bengals and the Ravens both as bubble teams because I don't think both of them can make the playoffs, But whichever team between
Yeah.
those two wins the division,
Yeah.
I've got in the playoffs.
I agree.
I've got the Dolphins as a bubble team. Broncos, obviously. The Chargers, obviously. The Raiders, obviously. And the Titans.
Yeah, I almost had the Titans in it as
So
my bubble.
I'm close to what you. We're close, but a little different. And then, like I said earlier, I think
He's second guessing himself.
Earlier I said that to me the Colts have the easiest path to the number 1 seed, and I just see Matty Ice and JT, just like the Titans last season had the number 1 seed,
Yeah.
and they weren't really the best team, but they had
No.
the number 1 seed.
That's a huge advantage that
yeah,
time of the year
so-
in the dome.
In the cold, we know what it feels like.
Yeah.
We were there last year,
It's
so
cold in Indianapolis.
As
I ain't
far
gonna
as
lie to you.
conference champs, man, I'm liking the Colts, but not as much as the Bills. I think the Bills have got the most talent. I think they're out to avenge what happened to them last year.
Yeah.
That heartbreaker. I think that's a motivating factor. I think the Von Miller edition.
Yeah.
I just don't know if any even though the AFC is loaded, I just don't. I see the Bills right now as
Yeah, I think the Bills are clearly the best team in the NFL.
yeah.
I got the Bills against the Chargers, and I got the Bills emerging.
Yeah. Okay.
I got the Bills emerging in the AFC. I think they're the best team.
Okay.
I mean, that's...
Well, I think we
I-
covered a lot of.
There's some teams that you can argue, and,
Oh, yeah,
and anything can happen. Anything
Absolutely.
can happen.
There's always some team comes out of nowhere, does what you don't expect, and then there's injuries that
Yeah, oh yeah.
Screw up.
You can't factor that in. I mean,
you all you can do is look at it from where they are right now and what we think can happen.
Yeah, definitely. I like the Bills. I think we agree on that. We had a little bump in the road on our West a little bit, but I think that West could go anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said,
could
you can
clearly go
You can
anyway.
throw the 4 teams in a hat, shake
Yeah.
it up, pull one out, and be right.
That's right.
That's the best division in football. I think that brings to an end our AFC preview. Unless there was anything you wanted to add.
I think that's good. We try to keep a little bit more of the analytics out of our discussion.
right.
I don't want to bore everybody with he's 0.68 on his short passes. I mean, it's just redundant. You can go
Right.
to PFF and do that research for yourself. I think
go online and look at the
yeah.
stats.
Now obviously that goes into a lot of my decision making in terms
Right.
of how I feel
Well,
about
you
certain
want to
players.
You want
but-
to have facts to back
Yeah.
up your opinions. That's natural.
No, I'm good with that. I
Okay.
think our analysis was good.
Okay.
I hope there's some people that disagree. I would love to argue with one of y'all.
Email us.
Sure.
bourbonbuzzandballandpr@gmail.com.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think what we should do now is
Rate
head over
that
to the
shit.
bar and rate that
shit.
shit.
4, 3, 2, are you ready?
Yeah, we've made our way over to the bar, and it's basically my favorite portion of the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's time for us to rate that shit. We got a scale of 1 through 4 for us to rate our bourbons. First of all, we rate things 1 if we think it just didn't make the cut.
Right.
We call that a brown bag. Number 2, we like it, but perhaps it's maybe a little high in proof or what have you. It needs maybe a splash of Coke, some ginger ale. We call that a mixer. Number 3, it's getting better. It's getting smoother. You can put a little ice ball in there on the rocks. And last but not least, the way bourbon should be drank.
Absolutely.
And if it's good bourbon, it needs to be drank
Yeah.
in its glass by itself, neat.
Yeah. You don't want to dilute it whatsoever. You want to just
Nah.
enjoy all those notes and tastes.
Yeah, if
And
you're picking a good
aromas
bourbon, that's how you should drink it.
Yes.
So it's interesting. Normally we have 3 across here, but today we only have 2. We got a couple of outliers. I'll let Colby tell you what we're doing.
We're gonna mix it up a little bit tonight. When we did the Bourbon Trail last winter, we wanted to go to the Lux Row Distillery, but we just ran out of time. It was just we tried to cram too many visits into 2 days.
I think we ran out of brain cells too a little bit because there might have been some drunk driving involved. I don't know. I mean, we'll say no. We'll say no.
No, never. Don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive. Be
So 4 of the Lux Row bourbons that we were wanting to try was there's a couple of Ezra Brooks. We got an Ezra 99 and we got the cask strength, and then the 2 Yellowstones. And so rather than cram all 4 of them into this episode, since we're doing our NFL preview and we're doing AFC this week and NFC next week, I figured we'd do the same thing with the Lux Row bourbons. So
I think my liver thanks you.
Exactly. So we'll save the Yellowstones for next week. We'll talk about them next week, and we'll focus on the Ezra Brooks for tonight's show. So, like I said, they come from the Lux Row Distillery in Bardstown, Kentucky. The Ezra 99 is good value for, a lot of proof for only $25.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know about you, but I have never tried either one of these.
Never.
This will be my first time on both of these, so I'm curious to see what we've got here.
Me too.
So this is 99 proof, $25. This is 120 proof, $50. So now they're both high proof. A lot of times we might have 80s, 90s. We're looking at a 99 and a 120. So if you're new to bourbon tasting, don't just pick up that high proof, take a swig of it, and be like,
Yeah, exactly.
You're gonna get that. You're gonna get that what they call the Kentucky hug, that burn going down.
A lot of that alcohol up front.
Yeah, people call it the chew. That very first sip, they call it the chew. So go ahead and get that chew out of the way. Wake up your taste buds, but don't analyze it off of that first chew. So you really want to, wake up the bourbon.
We are professionals, though, so.
Of course, we've also been sipping on bourbon during our show. So
I'm kind of excited about this one. This one they say flies off the shelf.
well, for $25
$25
and 99 proof, I mean, you don't have to drink much of it to feel it.
No, it's got a nice, smooth, kind of syrupy, sweet.
Well, I
smell
think
to me.
both of these are considered sweet bourbons. In the caramel, vanilla, chocolate type of families. They're both they both are made from a corn, rye, and malted barley mash.
That's very oaky.
I'll tell you what, though, for 99 proof, I didn't really get much of a burn.
I got a lot of alcohol up front, and then on the back end, I'm getting a lot of.
There is
oak,
some spice. There's
a little bit of nuttiness, oak and nuttiness in that one for sure.
Yeah, I'm not quite getting the sweeter that I thought it was going to
No,
have.
early on from the nose, it had a sweet smell to it. I was expecting a little bit sweeter, but I mean, I don't hate it.
No.
I don't hate it.
I mean, you could do much worse for $25.
Yeah. I mean, I think going into a $25 bottle, to me, going into a $25 bottle, I'm thinking mixer up front.
Right.
I'm always giving it the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to brown bag nothing.
Right.
But to me, that one's definitely a 2 for me.
I'm with you.
It's a mixer.
I
mean, for $25, I could go with that over a lot of $35, $45 bottle range for a mixer.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make an old fashioned out of that because I think that would taste good as an old fashioned. But like I'm total agreement with you on that one. There's
not a lot.
It's
of
not a brown
complexity
bag.
to you. You don't get a lot of different.
Right.
Like on a lot of higher quality bourbons, or like the Cooper Craft. To me, I got a lot of back end flavor off of something like that. I didn't get a lot of back end flavor off of this. But.
Yeah. Now, like I said, I got a little spice there at the very end, but it's a solid 2 for me. I wouldn't brown bag it, and I wouldn't call it a rocks.
I think we both kind of just barely sipped though.
Yeah.
I was saving up for the big
Oh
dog.
yeah. So this like I said is the 120 proof, and this is also you're supposed to get some oak out of this one. And
Is this a 7-year? Is this
yes,
7?
yep. And then
Look
also
at me. I'm looking at color, and I'm telling you, it's a 7. That's a good color. I mean, you can tell it's been aged a little bit. And this one I get a little bit more nose from
Yeah,
this one.
a little
for
bit
sure.
sweet. Look, I'm getting a caramel or a chocolate.
I don't get a lot of leg off of these. You know, I don't. Well, that's not true on this one. I'm
Yeah,
seeing a
there's
little
some-
leg. Yeah,
there's
you're
some
right.
pretty
I'm
good.
seeing it. So definitely, you know, it to me it has the look that it's gonna be very flavorful.
It's a lot of corn. It's actually 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% malted barley. So should give you a good sweet taste.
Definitely rye. Definitely rye. What do you
not
think?
bad.
You sitting on that a little
Yeah.
bit?
For 120 proof.
No, it
It's
doesn't
awful
really.
smooth.
It's real smooth. I don't get 120 proof out of it. I like it. I like it. You can definitely tell. You can taste the rye. You can feel the rye. I always feel the rye more than you do the wheated bourbon
Right.
for sure.
Yeah.
I like it. You know, from its mash standpoint, I think it's good. I think it's smooth, but I just don't like that medicinal back end,
Right.
like that residual flavor on my tongue right now. I'm not a huge fan. I feel like I'm getting more of a residual, you know, medicinal flavor, like the tannins in it. You
Yeah.
know, the dryness.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't rank up there with my favorites.
Me neither. In fact, I like this one. This one was more enjoyable.
It didn't
to
quite
me
have the bite on the tail end
than
that one's
one.
got. Right.
And what'd you say the price of that one was?
That one's 50,
50.
and that was
I mean,
25.
$50. That's not bad for 120. proof.
Nah, I mean you're
For-
getting a lot of
pretty
alcohol for that
Yeah.
that price. But like I said, we've rated some that I like a lot better.
I mean, for $50, it would be really low on my list. I mean, honestly,
It's gonna be a 2 for me. It's gonna be
Yeah.
it's gonna be a mixer.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'm with
I mean,
you
I
on
probably wouldn't mix it with anything. I don't want people to get confused with our rating system just because we say it's a 2, which we call a mixer, that we wouldn't drink it.
Yeah, I think most
I
people
would-
know better to go spend $50
Right,
on a bourbon
and then,
to
to
mix,
mix
for
with,
sure.
with a Coke or whatever.
Yeah.
So no, I would drink it on the rocks. But,
You go
but as
get a-
far as our rating
Yeah,
system,
yeah, that's definitely a mixer in our.
Our-
'Cause- Yeah, for sure.
I'm going 2 on both of them.
And I mean, if you're wanting to sip on something that is maybe a little more mellow than a traditional full rye, that one's pretty good for that. But
Right.
to me, it was just, yeah, I got too much of the burn of the hug
Right.
for me.
Yeah.
So 2 and 2.
Yeah. I'm 2 and 2 as well.
Yeah. No, I mean that's the way it is. But this is a good one. $25.
Yeah,
$25. I think this would clearly need to be on everybody's shelf. This is a good guest bourbon. You know, save your Willet.
That's right.
Save your Willet.
Yeah, for somebody that
Wellers
doesn't appreciate it, you don't want to.
Maybe get you some Ezra Brooks 99 and pour it into your pot still Willet bottle, and you can tell them they're drinking Willet. They might not know any different, but I'm not advocating.
Well, speaking of
that.
Willet, I'm going back to the Willet, and have you got something to?
Yeah, I'll go back to my American.
So
honey,
we're,
for sure.
That wraps up another episode. I hope that people are enjoying what the content we're putting down, and we're trying to get better each week, and we're learning and try to, improve the aesthetics of the show.
Yeah,
Get the lighting better, the sound quality better. Throw some, for people that are watching us on YouTube, throw some extra features in there to make it, a little bit less monotonous. So we're trying to improve with each episode. We're learning. This was our first experience.
Sure.
We came into this completely blind and cold, and so we hope that you see the improvement each week. Give us some feedback. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Check out all of our socials. You want to give them the socials,
I
Dustin?
mean, the socials are, we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok,
Instagram.
You can
Spotify, Apple.
Spotify, Apple. You can email us at bourbonbuzzandballinpr@gmail.com. if you like us, man, smash that like button.
Yeah.
We need some feedback. We need some likes. We need some shares. If you don't like us, drive on. We're having a good time, man. I don't sweat anybody that's not liking what we're putting out because we're putting out some quality stuff. I've listened to a lot of people talk, and we're up there with them. We just a little unrefined, and we ain't throwing a lot of money at the podcast.
Well, it's funny because I was driving home today, and I was thinking of future topics and episodes, and I was like, we need to do a show about how does blank still have a job? And I'm thinking of like some of these ESPN reporters or experts Skip Bayless, and I'm like, we need to do a show and just
Skip,
how do these people still have a job? But anyway, that's not going to be next week's show.
No, next week's
show we'll open it with a toast.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from the toast to coming in hot, like we always do, talk about some current events. Then we'll do part 2 of our NFL preview. We'll do the NFC next week. And then we'll be back to rate the 2 Yellowstones next week.
I'm looking forward to
it.
Yeah.
And there's a drastic difference between these two.
Drastic difference in price.
Yeah,
as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we'll be interested.
I've tried that one before, and I do like it. I've never tried that one, so I'm looking forward to trying that one next week, and we'll rate that shit and have another good time.
Excellent.
So until next week, cheers.
Cheers.